Righty, it is 3 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started here. Welcome, everyone. If your camera, for some reason, allows you to turn it on, please disable it. For whatever reason, it is overriding certain settings. I'm not sure what's going on. My apologies. So at any rate, for those of you that don't know me, I am Brent Davis. I'm a digital accessibility analyst here at TU. I am based out of OTS. My team consists of myself and two student digital accessibility consultants, Jasper and Leilani, who are in our audience today. We are bringing this session in coordination with our our accessibility special interest group, which is a organization on campus for anyone, faculty or staff with an interest in accessibility, and kind of talk about goings on in the industry, things we can do at campus to make lives for everyone better, make sure we have a more equitable environment, etc. With that said, before we get too started here, just to FYI, everyone is muted. And all video should be off. If for some reason the video comes on, I will try to disable it. There seems to be a small bug there. We will get to a Q&A portion later in the meeting or in the event, and I know some of you submitted some really great questions already. Thank you very much. We'll also have the opportunity to raise hand and reach questions, or to ask some questions. Hopefully we'll get through them all, but we might not have quite enough time to get through everything. Just a FYI, if you have questions specific to accessibility here at Towson, something with a course you're in, or anything with student life, we do have our Accessibility and Disability Services Department available to answer questions for you. If you are faculty or staff and you've encountered something problematic that you'd like somebody's opinion on, feel free to reach out to me. That's what I'm here for, is to take a look at and provide consultations. So without further ado, I would like to introduce everyone to our guest today, Ross Miner. Ross is a swimmer. He's in the midst of training to hopefully go to Tokyo next summer. Ross is also a gamer and a accessibility advocate and evangelist. And he knows Jasper, one of my student workers. And when Jasper told me about Ross, it really seemed like a great opportunity just to kind of spread the word about assistive technology and frankly dispelling some misconceptions that a lot of people have with disability. So with that said, I am going on mute and turning my camera off, and I'll hand it over to Ross. If you require, or if you would benefit from captioning, we have been enabled closed captioning for this meeting. There is a link provided with the meeting invitation, which you can use to access the captions. Alternately, you can just go onto the Zoom screen, and at the bottom where it says closed caption, there should be a little arrow icon that you can click to show subtitle, and you can do it right here as part of the meeting. With that said, I am truly going to mute and stop showing myself. Here's to you, Ross. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much, Brent. Yes, so my name is Ross Miner, and seriously, thank you so much for all of you who are coming out here. It's crazy to see how many people are interested or even just support, oops, I just hit my mic, the accessibility movement. Like back when I was at college at UNF in 2017, there was no accessibility club or anything like that. Like it's crazy to see how far the accessibility movement has gone. But anyway, my name is Ross, and I am completely blind. As Brent said, there's a lot about me to unpack. I'm an accessibility advocate. I'm a Paralympic swimmer. I'm an avid gamer / nerd, all of the above. I'm kind of a jack of all trades, and I'm here to talk to you all about accessibility, why it matters, how it's impacted my life, and how it even impacts your life, even if you don't have a disability. So where do I even begin? I'm sure most of you guys are asking, how are you blind? How'd you go blind? Were you born blind? And that's what I'm going to answer. This is a very sad story, so I do say trigger warning very seriously. If this may be a story that may impact you some way, because it's a very emotional story. But so with that being said, to preface, when I was 8 on June 14th, 2006, I was shot in my sleep by my father. So the way it happened was that he shot me in my sleep, and then he went to my brother's room, shot him in his sleep, and then committed suicide on the spot. And he did this. There are many reasons, and it's not the point of this discussion, but that he was a narcissist. He was a sociopath, and my mother was divorcing him. And if anyone knows anything about narcissists, like that was the kind of the final straw for him. He had no other outs. That was his way of getting back at her, at hurting her. Um, so I was rushed to the hospital. My brother Ryan unfortunately did not survive, and neither did my dad. And so I was left blind, and more specifically, the retina and optic nerve of my right eye are severed, and then my left eye is completely fake. Like I could just tap it like that. Sorry if that grosses you out, but it's completely fake. And then I also can't smell either. I lost my sense of smell, so technically I only have three senses. Um, but yes, so when I went blind, I didn't feel anything. I hardly remember anything. All it was is that I went to bed with sight and woke up in a hospital bed completely blind, just couldn't see anything at all. And that was kind of like the BC to AD of my life, the before and after. You know, you guys see that meme going around. That was pretty much me. How am I going now? Well, when I went blind, or before I went blind, I loved video games. I played video games on the Nintendo 64, the PS2, the GameCube, that era. My brother was the outdoorsy type, and I was the indoorsy type, loved to play video games, just more of an analytical thinker. Well, when I went blind, it was like, how how am I going to be able to play video games? How am I going to be able to do that? Obviously, I was 8, so the first thing I was thinking of was how am I going to play video games? But my mom was thinking, how is he even going to go to school? Let's see. I'm going to open this window. Sorry about that. In Colorado, which is where I'm based, we don't have AC in here, so it gets hot, and it is also 7 degrees out. Go figure. But anyway, so I went blind, and my mom was like, I don't know what I'm going to teach this kid. Like, he doesn't know Braille. Like, how is he going to navigate? How is he going to live a life? Well, I went back to school, everything hunky dory. I was excited to see all my friends because that's what I needed. I just needed people that I recognized. I needed a school that I recognized, something that was familiar to me, because going blind just like that, losing half your family is not easy. I'm sure you guys can imagine. And so when I went back to school, I found out that I had to have a teacher to teach me Braille. I had to have a teacher to teach me how to use the cane. I had a teacher to teach me how to hear. And none of this was free. None of this was cheap. All of it was expensive. My mom, just after losing her husband, her son, and one of her other sons going blind, had to pay out of pocket for all of this just so I could get an education. And the thing is that I was going to a private elementary school, and so technically they legally didn't have to provide these accommodations, these accessibility accommodations to me. So that's great. Well, my mom was like, there's got to be someone else that could help us. So we go to the public school system, and they say, oh, yeah, we could totally provide all these for free. He just has to take a bus ride 45 minutes to like the next town over where all the blind people in the county go to school there. I couldn't go to my own school, the place that was familiar for me. I had just gone blind and lost half my family. No, they wanted me to go all the way to a different school for this. And unfortunately, this is the case with many accessibility / education cases for people with disabilities, my mom had to sue the school district. And long story short, we eventually won, but I didn't really get to reap any of those benefits until we had left that school district. And so fourth grade comes around while this lawsuit is going on. We couldn't afford the Catholic school anymore, the elementary school. I had to go to a public school. And this is when I began realizing how much the odds were stacked against me from the very beginning. And I do not say that lightly. I say that very seriously, that the odds were stacked against me going through school all the way from elementary to now. Not, oh, elementary, middle school, and then it got better in high school. Oh, it got better in college. I'm still dealing with these accessibility issues. So let me highlight this for you. When I was in elementary school, at public school and middle school, I had a TVI, teacher for the visually impaired, come, I think maybe 2 or 3 times a week. So I only could get a handful of my things converted into Braille or into an accessible format on my laptop. And the teachers didn't know how to do that. They didn't know how to write Braille. They didn't know how to make an accessible Word document, even though it's very, very simple. The point is that they were uneducated, and therefore this impacted me. I was the one left with teachers giving me late assignments, not me giving teachers late assignments, teachers giving me assignments late. And so I was always behind. I never got held back or anything, but it was a very, very stressful time for me. Elementary school, middle school, high school, college. I can name, this is a pattern that has continued nonstop. So, for example, in high school, I had a chemistry teacher who did not like to teach me because I was blind and because he had to accommodate. He was very old. He was definitely near the end of his retirement. And so, yeah, like he's, may not know how to use technology as much, but it's still his job to accommodate for all of his students. And so I had 2 years with him, biology and chemistry. And by the end of it, I was so tired. I was just so tired of asking him over and over again, can I please have this in Braille? Can I please have this on my computer? Just something so I could study. I got so desperate, everyone. I'm not even proud of saying this, but this is how low the lack of accessibility just in the school system impacted me. That I remember my senior year of high school, the very last day. I'm not even joking. The very last day, the very last exam, the very last question. I didn't know the answer to it, but I knew that if I didn't fill it out, because it was like a 30-point question, I knew that if I didn't fill it out, that my professor would be like, oh, you forgot to fill this out. I didn't have the heart to tell him to his face, everything you have been doing hasn't helped me at all, that I've been struggling this, and I couldn't do it, right? So I cheated. I literally cheated on the very last exam, on the very last question, because that was my last resort. Because I didn't feel confident enough in anything I knew, because I didn't have the resources to actually study properly. And guess what? I got caught cheating, and I got a 0 on the exam, and I didn't get AP honor roll, I didn't get this or that, and that was on me. But that was how depressed and low I got from not having these accessibility options. And like I said, this continued through college. I had a professor in economics, and I had to take an entire economic exam, someone reading it to me. All the graphs, all the numbers had to do someone reading it to me. I just took a class last semester, a statistics class, and the online textbook, the digital textbook, did not work with my computer, with my screen reading software. I couldn't read it at all. I had to do an entire statistics class without a textbook. And see, here's the thing. When I emailed Regis, the school I'm going to right now, they have a disability department, but they are not good. That's the nicest way to say it. They are not good. I can already tell from what Brent and Jasper and all of them do that. It's like, wow, this disability department knows what they're doing. Like, they know about accessibility. Like, they don't even answer my emails at Regis. And so it's frustrating. But that's it's not just in academia. It's everywhere. So I want to talk about video games. Let me get my notes. Sorry. One sec. Okay. But yeah, so accessibility isn't limited to academia, right? There's accessibility everywhere. Whether you realize it or not, accessibility benefits you. I've got a few examples here. All right, let's see. I gotta find my list of things. Okay, so have you ever used TTS, like text to speech? Like if you're reading a textbook digitally and you want to just take a break, have your eyes take a break. Well, a lot of people use text to speech to have the textbook read to them. And that's exactly what I do. That's an accessibility feature. Let's see. Oh, another one, playing Pokemon. I know a lot of people play it one-handed because there's one-handed mode. My girlfriend has one hand. And so that directly benefits her. And so people say that accessibility is hard to implement. People in academia are like, that's too much work. Like, can you just partner up with someone and have them read it to you? That it takes away my independence. It takes away me having a voice, me being my own person, me contributing to society. Let me talk about me being a Paralympic swimmer before I jump into Animal Crossing, because I know people are curious how I play that. But me being a Paralympic swimmer, how did I get started with swimming? Well, I used to go to the Florida School for the Deaf and Blind. Um, I guess you can imagine why I went there, because the accessibility in the public schools were awful. So I was like, this is my last resort. We're going to go to a school for the blind. Well, guess what? I left there because they had accessibility issues. They once had made blind people, or not once, but many times had made blind people play games of volleyball with deaf people with no accommodations. I'm not against playing volleyball with deaf people, but I mean, come at least have like a bell or a beep in the ball or something so I can hear where they are. Can you imagine that? And it sounds just as ridiculous as it is, because if you imagine I would sit on the sidelines because I couldn't play. I didn't want to get hit in the head with a ball. I would sit on the sidelines and then I would get in trouble for sitting on the sidelines. But the point is that while I was at FSDB, I learned about the Paralympics. And for those who don't know what the Paralympics are, they are the exact same thing as the Olympics, except for people with disabilities. Also, not to confuse the Paralympics with the Special Olympics. So the Special Olympics is a nonprofit organization for people with cognitive disabilities. And a lot of people get that confused, so I just wanted to clear that up. But so Paralympics, I swim against, I should mention that, I'm a Paralympic swimmer, and I swim against only other people who are completely blind. And that's how it goes for pretty much every other disability in Paralympics, is that there are classifications for each of your disabilities. And so pretty much while I have my YouTube channel and while I make videos about accessibility, how I do this and that gaming, I spend 20 hours a week in the pool training. I live about 3 minutes away from the Olympic and Paralympic Training Center. And that's what I've been pretty much doing for the past 3 years, up until the pandemic hit and all that. But here's the thing, even in the Paralympics, there are accessibility issues. For example, I have an Apple Watch, which by the way, talks, I can use all of it by myself independently. They have these bands called Whoops, and they're these high-tech fitness bands that track your sleep, your health data, your heart rate, your calories burned, your lap swim, all that. And I can't use it. Meanwhile, in the weight room, they have someone else write down all of my weights instead of, just sending it to me on a computer. The point I'm trying to make is that accessibility concerns, accessibility issues are everywhere. And for those who are able-bodied or not disabled, it's not like I'm not blaming you for not knowing about this, but the accessibility issues are so prevalent and so few people in the world know about them. Even though, like I said before, accessibility benefits everyone. Last one example I wanted to give is audio description. Netflix has audio description for many, many of its titles. And audio description, if you guys don't know, is professionally narrated, or I guess I should say professional narration of content for blind people. And it's very precise. So like they'll only describe what's necessary or only describe while other people aren't talking, stuff like that. And it's all pre-recorded. But see, the thing is that Netflix had to get sued for that. Hulu had to get sued for that. HBO Max just got sued for that. And that's why I'm talking to you guys right now, is because it's not helping anyone if we're having to sue people to implement accessibility. Me talking to you guys and you guys being here is what's really it's got to be societal change. It's got to be a cultural change. And that's why I'm giving this talk. And like I've been saying, accessibility benefits everyone. Sam, my girlfriend, sometimes listens to audio description while she's cooking or something because she can't bother to look at the TV because it's in the other room. Small things like that are huge accessibility features, benefits for me, and even sometimes could be features for people who are able-bodied. And so, okay, got to preface all that. Now let's talk video games. How do I even play video games? Ross, you're blind. You can't play video games. Well, I can. I'm an avid gamer. I am a hardcore gamer. I play many games competitively. My first instance of playing video games going blind was right after I got out of the hospital. Because like I said, I was eager to get out and eager to play Pokemon. It was the hottest thing in 2006. So as soon as I got out of the hospital, was given my Game Boy SP, I fired up Pokemon Ruby, and I just began walking around because I wanted to hear the clicks. I wanted to hear all the Pokemon cries. I wanted to hear all the sounds because that's how I function, was on sound. Like that was my new reality, right? Well, when I was playing, I started to notice. I was like, okay, well, there's a sound when I go down once in the menu. There's a click sound. Or there's a sound when a Pokemon comes out, and each sound is different. And there's a sound when I bump into a wall. All right, now, bumping into a wall, one, and then Pokemon just having different cries and all that, don't worry, you don't need to know anything about Pokemon, is what makes this game accessible. But specifically the bump sound, the one sound, every time I walk to the wall, boom, boom, boom. That's what allowed me to play the game, because it allowed me to know when I was bumping into things, and it allowed me, like, if there was no sound, then I wouldn't know when I was bumping into things. I'd just be going up forever. But with the bump sound there, I'm able to pretty much trace a town or a city or a building because of keeping this mental map in my head. I keep this mental map in my head that where it's a real world thing, and it even extends to video games, where if I walk in a room, I'm like, okay, I don't know what's into here. But then like I bump into my chair or I bump into my table over here. And I'm like, okay, I know that's there. I can picture it in my head now. And that's what I do with Pokemon, and that's what Pokemon helped me with. I would say that playing video games, playing Pokemon as a kid directly correlates to, or is directly caused by me being more independent, essentially. Pokemon has made me more independent because of how accessible it is, right? So I grew up playing Pokemon, not thinking that there was any other game I could play. Well, then I found out that there's entire communities of blind people who play video games just by sound alone. And it's funny because I never thought of this until now, but I've had able-bodied people ask me, why? What's the point? It sounds like so much work having to memorize all the menus, memorize all the sounds, memorize all the maps. And it's like, why do you play video games? You play video games to get immersed. You play video games for socialization. You play video games for those, sweet internet memes. Why don't I deserve that? Are you saying like I don't deserve that just because I'm blind? I used to be able to see people, and it's not like that's where it stops. Is people with disabilities just in general deserve the same opportunities and the same experiences as people with able bodies. From what I've already told you, I did not have the same opportunities or experiences in academia. I did not have the same opportunities or experiences with video games. I played Pokemon for like 10 years of my life without playing any other video game. And so that's why I play video games, is because it's just something I can't let go of. It makes me happy. I love getting lost in the world of a video game. I love being able to do things along my sighted counterparts. I mean, that's why I'm in the Paralympics. That's why I swim, because I want to be able to swim like all other sighted people. And that's what accessibility is about, is equal opportunities for everyone. Okay, with that being said, there's a lot of other video games I play, but Animal Crossing is a new discovery that I realize is accessible. And so I want to show you guys why. I do have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/RossMiner, where I pretty much break down every single video game that I play and say how I play it. That's not, I don't specifically talk about video games, but that's a big thing. And so we're going to fire up Animal Crossing for you guys. And I have made it my mission to create the most accessible Animal Crossing island ever. And so whether that's accessible to deaf people, accessible to visually impaired people, accessible to people with one finger, I'm going to try to make it accessible. So it's not completely done, but I have made quite a lot of progress, and I want to show you guys why. Why am I doing this? Why it matters, and just how this all works. So I'm going to go ahead and fire up my Switch. I have this all docked going through my computer with a capture card, my computer, my gaming computer that I built myself. What? Blind people can do that? Yeah, guys, I have so much I want to tell you guys, but there's just so much accessibility to talk about these days, good and bad. A lot of good. Honestly, I was just talking to this about someone on Twitter a couple of days ago, and they were like, well, accessibility, I know everything else in the world is, falling apart, but accessibility is the one thing that has thrived since everything has gone virtual. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to stop rambling. Just something I'm passionate about. All right, so fire this up. And then I need to share my screen. Also, fun fact, I wouldn't be able to do this talk on Zoom if Zoom weren't accessible, but Zoom actually has a very good reputation of being very accessible to blind people. I don't know about any other disabilities, but I mean, the fact they have closed captions, I love Zoom. All right, let's see, share screen. All right. And what I'm going to do is show you my screen reading software as well. So right now you can hear that. This is my screen reading software.
Ross,
yes.
it's showing your monitor desktop background, but not the.
Yep.
There you go, game capture.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, so I have to use screen share so my screen reading software will come through. But yeah, so hopefully you guys can hear my screen reader. You should be able to. I know it's really fast. I'll slow it down. Right, like I can make it go really slow, go really fast. Again, accessibility is all about customization, equal opportunities. What something I may like, what I may like in my screen reader, others may not like, which is the beauty of accessibility. All right, here's my Animal Crossing island. I got my funky outfit on. If you ever want to know what a blind person dresses like, now you know. No, I'm just kidding. But, so, how do I play Animal Crossing? Well, there's no bump sound, but I can tell by listening to the footsteps when I'm running into something. So, I'm walking, I accidentally walked in there, but that's okay. I'm walking, or it's loading, there we go. So you can hear the footsteps. You can hear that I'm walking on like stone or something, and then now you don't hear anything. It's because I'm running into a wall. Alright, so now we're gonna just go back outside. And I can also tell where doorways are because there's wood by it. And it creates like a wood step sound. And so that's how I navigate, know when I'm running into a wall, which that's very important in video games. I can't memorize anything if I don't know where the boundaries are. Okay, now it's about sound, and more specifically, stereo sound. So I was surprised, but a lot of people who don't use their ears as much as I do don't know what stereo and mono audio is. Mono, right in front of you, doesn't move at all. Stereo is when it sounds like it's around you, or like it's from left to right. It separates, and that's what's important because then it tells me direction, where something is. Right? Okay. without further ado, here is my island. So first off, I gotta get my bearings. Alright. Here is pathway just leading right off. But then if you go right, I don't know if the audio in Zoom is mono or stereo, so keep that in mind. But if I go right on my path, I can hear that little water trickle sound. If I get closer, that's a fountain. And the first thing, or I guess the second thing, is consistency with accessibility. And that you need consistency. There's a difference between giving someone options and having something consistent. And so, given that I have to work with the limitations of Animal Crossing, I figured, whoops, what just happened?
Game capture HD.
Oop, it just disconnected itself. One second.
Yeah, it looks like
Yeah,
it says Xbox One connected. Not, is it connected and powered on? It's all right.
Xbox One. Let me go see if Sam.
It's yeah, no signal.
Hold on.
Xbox One connected.
Okay, yeah.
My input powered on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it may have gotten. Here we go. My bad. All good. Can you see
Rocking and
that?
rolling. Yep.
Cool. Sorry about that. All right.
No worries.
Lost my train of thought.
Nice recovery.
Oh, and it. I think. Hold on. I think it's my power strip. I'm gonna try not to touch the power strip. I think it's that. Yeah. Oh, I just hit it again.
Goldberg, support has joined the meeting.
One sec. Okay. There we go. I just secured the plug a bit, so we should be good now. I'm so animated when I'm talking. I'm bumping things and too tall for my own good. Anyway, so consistency is key, and given that I'm working within the limitations of Animal Crossing, I had to figure out a way to let people know certain geographical locations. And so this is why I put fountains at the intersection of every single pathway. Because it may seem small, but what if you just want to pretend, what if you're blind and you want to pretend to walk along the path and like you like actually walk off and then it's like, I forgot I'm blind, this game isn't totally accessible. But now, you can walk along the path and know where to turn. And so that's one of the very first accessibility features I have. And so as I'm walking through my island, I'm gonna point out different things. So like over here, I have some funky music playing by almost every building to let me know where the building is. More specifically, I have it to the right of each building. So that way, because again, consistency. What if some speakers were on the right and what if some speakers were on the left? Then people wouldn't know which way the building entrance was. All right. And so keep in mind, I'm listening to, like I'm on stone right now. I'm on pathway right now. So I'm listening to all of that. This is all things I have to keep track of in my mind to play this game. Over here, I have a fountain just because it's nice. And it's a nice landmarker to kind of, oops, didn't mean to go in here. But it's a nice landmarker to kind of know where you are. And again, I do that all through stereo audio because right now, when I walk outside, you could hear it's in front of me / below me, but if I move to the right, now it's to my left. Again, not sure if it's mono or stereo on Zoom, but there you have it. Now, this right here, I am proud of. I won't go into the details for those who don't know how to play Animal Crossing or anything about it, but essentially I have exactly 17 trees here, guaranteeing that if someone comes to my island, if they shake something, they will always get something out of the tree. And I do this because it's a pain for me, like to find every single tree on my island to get every single reward. It's a pain for someone who may have arthritis to go from tree to tree shaking and stuff like that. So now I can do that. Oh no, there's a wasp. I'll just catch it like that. And now, and oh, you know, I forgot to tell you guys all this. I've done all this by myself. All of it. Because this game is that accessible. There are sound cues for everything. There are vibrations. I've built all of this myself. And here's the thing, guys. If this game weren't playable, this game isn't even accessible. If this game is playable, I wouldn't have been able to share this story with you guys. And that's the thing about accessibility is that there are many untold stories that people with disabilities want to share but can't. You know, 25% of the United States alone is disabled, and video game companies, school systems say, oh, it's not profitable, oh, it's not worth it, give me a break, right? Anyway, I'm gonna show you the piece de resistance. I hope I said that right. Up here, I have like my castle, my fortress.
Goldberg, support left the meeting.
All right. So right here, going back, I have 2 waterfalls centered to let me know where the bridge is. And when I mean centered, I mean if I'm standing in the middle, I can hear one is in the left ear, one is in the right ear. And another accessibility feature right there. Going to the shore right here, I have sand on the shore to let people know that they're by the river, because the water doesn't make a lot of sound. And these are a lot of blind features, but I also have some features for other disabilities that I'm excited to show you. So up here, I have a lot of fire, and that's because I have fire wherever there's a staircase. And the goal was to also make this look aesthetically pleasing and accessible, to prove to game developers that you can have an accessible game and a totally normal game, because apparently people are insecure about that. So up here, I have fire. I knew there were stairs here because they're in a corner, obviously, but then there's fire right here, which is useful for me. I have a nice little waterfall just to let me know that a pond is here. And I also have stones around the pond to let me know that the pond is here. This stuff has taken me so long to do. I've been working on this for months and I'm still not done. Back here I have a secret entrance. A blind secret entrance, because I bet you guys can see that. But no, but I even have my trees organized a specific way so I can just, once I find it, shake, move on, shake, move on, shake, move on. I know where all of them are because they're two tiles apart, I'm pretty sure horizontally, and then 3 tiles vertically. And again, consistency. If we don't have complete accessibility, then the next best thing in video games is consistency. And, alright, so now I have to, you're probably wondering how I knew even where that was. It's because I had to memorize it. Like, it takes a lot of memorization for games like these, or just for all games, what I'm talking about. And so right here is a tiny accessibility feature that I like. Even though it may not seem like much, I'm so proud that I thought of this. And that's, I made this kind of like a cool little secret staircase, but I also made it very, very easy to get up because I don't want people who have joint problems have a hard time doing all these twists and turns, right? So like over here, this is something I need to fix. This is something I need to like patch, so to say, because I don't want someone to have to walk, go turn, like that could hurt. And then literally, like you can see, I have my fire right there. And so basically, the reason why I know my island so well is because I've made it. I'm trying to think, like, oh yeah, how do I even manage my inventory? Because this is a big part about playing video games, just in general, is reading the text on the screen. So, see, I have things here. Yeah, and so, first off, tiny little accessibility feature, these click sounds are in stereo. So I can hear which side of the menu I'm on. Because like right there, I'm on the right side. And then you can hear it pop back over to the left when I'm on the left side. But now here's some cool technology for you guys. And this is called OCR, and it stands for Optical Character Recognition. And essentially, this is all done through my screen reader. It's an add-on, and it takes a picture of the screen and then tries to extract the text from it, just the text, so I can read it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the key command.
Recognizing result.
Recognizing, I'm going to...
Rate 45. Rate 40.
More for you guys.
Land.
Okay, so I didn't see anything. It's very finicky.
Recognize land.
Let's see. I mean, it's actually honestly not the best with the inventory. Let's try... What's up with my controllers? There we go. Oh, why is it? There we go. Alright. So let's try this.
Recognize land. Record land.
I wonder... Okay, this...
Stop game capture.
sometimes it's very.
Recognize land.
I'm not sure why it's
Recognize.
not working. Here,
Game capture
you know
HD.
what? To give you guys a better
Game capture
example,
HD.
I'm going way off the
Random volume
script.
stream element handbrake Hades 20.
I'm going way off the script right now, but I'm firing up Hades,
Hades.
another accessible game, and I'm not going to be playing it or anything. I'm pretty much done showing you the Animal Crossing island. That made me very loud, actually. I should realize that. But anyway,
Just a bit.
sorry.
All good.
Stop share. Folder view. Download documents 10 of 40. Runtime consume.
My screen is acting up.
Doug went out. Putting speed. Always Doug.
Let me know if that helps.
Hades.
But
Recognize it. Top. Elar play. Elar screen sharing. Top. Elar play. Options.
see, play,
Options.
options,
Patch notes.
patch notes,
Quit. Super Giant D.
quit.
Quit. Hades.
And so that's
Folder view. Hades.
how it
Volume left start. Cortana. Search box. Game capture.
reads text. And the reason why I couldn't
level
do
94.
it with Animal Crossing
Braille tethered
is
automatically.
because
Folder view. Document. Meeting.
accessibility.
Document word.
And I'll
Meeting
tell you
controls.
why.
Mail to excessive zoom.
One sec.
Game capture HD. Document.
Come on, game
Braille tethered
capture, work with me.
Document. Game capture HD. Game capture HD.
Not sure why it's not working. But essentially, game capture software, the software that I have to use to bring the video to my computer is not accessible. It is very inaccessible. Even making it full screen, it is difficult to do. And optical character recognition needs it to be full screen. And so that's something I didn't take into account before I started this speech, and which is why I couldn't do it on Animal Crossing. But yeah, so like, it needs to be full screen to extract the text, or otherwise I can't do that. Well, I can't do full screen myself because it's not accessible. So yeah, you can see the whole dilemma with that. I'm still not sure.
Configuration applied.
There we go. I'm not sure why it's not working. There we go.
Folder view.
And a
Documents.
lot of the time,
Run type the next
it
selection.
also
Rem-
crashes my screen by restarting it. All these accessibility
Folder view, documents,
barriers
10 of
I have to
42.
do to just play video games.
Game capture HD.
All right. But let's see. I want to make sure I show you guys every single part of the island, just because I'm proud of it. I've worked really hard on this, and I stream on Twitch. So if you guys want to come visit my island, I stream every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I don't stream specifically Animal Crossing. I play a bunch of other video games, and you guys can ask about those during the Q&A. Yeah, look how seamlessly I'm navigating, because all it takes is a little bit of sound, just a little bit of effort. People are saying accessibility is hard to implement. It's not. All it takes is a couple sounds. And look at this. I'm playing this game like a sighted person, honestly. And I have these little waterfalls right here at the corner of my moat to let me know when I'm at the corner. And why do I have this giant wall here? Like, Ross, this looks ugly. This is like what a blind person would actually make. Well, whenever I'm creating a pathway, it's very difficult for me to stay straight. And so I create a sort of stencil around it, right? So I know where to fill it in. Well, here, I keep rambling, but I swear this will be my last thing. But part of the issue is that the game is a grid, but it doesn't act like a grid. It doesn't act like it's two-dimensional or like, just a grid. Instead, like you could do twists and turns. Well, let me show you a potential accessibility feature that could be implemented in, I swear, 2 seconds. And the reason I'm showing you guys this is because it goes to show you how easily it is to implement accessibility, and that the problem isn't accessibility, the problem is the culture, the perception around it. People thinking that, oh, it's difficult, blah, blah, oh, I'm sorry.
Ross,
Yeah.
just a quick heads up on time.
Yep.
It's 3:44.
All right.
Just for reference.
Yep. Okay. I'll stop. But the point is that they can make this a grid if they wanted to. So they can make it, if I press left once, I go left once. Stuff like that. But it's just a matter of talking to people about it, getting attention. And blind people with disabilities, we're minorities. My last name is Minor, but yeah, I'm a minority. So yeah, that's why accessibility is important. That's why we need to advocate, and I need help from people who care about it, like all of you who are joining. Okay, I'm done. I will stop. I love talking about it, and Yeah, I don't want to go over
Game
time.
capture
Yeah,
it.
seriously. I'm just so
Meeting
passionate
info.
about
Folder
this.
view. Document. Me stop share. Mute.
I
Currently stop share.
really just want you guys to have the same passion I do. And yeah, Q&A.
Thank you,
Yes.
Ross.
Yeah.
Just due to the volume of folks we had here, isn't feasible to turn everybody's mics on. So if you have a question you'd like to ask Ross, please use the hand raise feature. Believe if you go, I can't see it on my end, but it is there somewhere in the controls at the bottom, and we'll read the questions to Ross as they come in. I've also got some questions some folks asked beforehand as well.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Feel free to ask any questions. Hand raise feature is accessible. Wow, look at that. Benefits everyone. But as far as other games, I play Hades, Pokemon, The Last of Us 2, Mortal Kombat, Animal Crossing, um, Call of Duty, Super Smash Brothers.
This is, I'm sorry to interrupt. This is
Oh no,
working
you're
a little
fine. You're fine.
differently than I thought that it would. I'm just going to unmute the folks that have questions as we go here. So I have Jeff first up with a question for you, Ross.
Hey, I was wondering if you've been in contact with any of the video game developers, and have they shown an interest in making their games a little bit more accessible?
Yes. Yes. The Last of Us 2 is the first AAA game to be fully accessible by pretty much all disabilities. I've beaten the game 100% from beginning to end without any sighted help whatsoever. A first-person shooter. And there's an entire community of blind people, including myself, who are pretty much spearheading this movement with game developers. So I'm not trying to like toot my own horn, but we have contacts with EA Games. We have contacts with Microsoft, Ubisoft. Those are the top 3, I would say, that are working on accessibility. And there are a lot of other game companies who aren't doing diddly about it. So it is a big perception thing. You know, there's a lot of variance.
Thank you. Next question is from Emily. And Emily, I have just given you permission to unmute if you'd like to ask your question, or if you want to type it in the chat, I can read it as well, whichever works better for you.
Hi, I really loved seeing your island.
Yeah.
I'm also an Animal Crossing fanatic.
Yes.
Do you have a dream code that you'd be willing to share?
I will create one. I have not yet because I'm a perfectionist. And I'm like, I'm not going to share my island until it's completely done. But it's like, I can't wait anymore. Like, I have to share with people. People keep asking me about it. So if you have any social media or just any way of contacting me, I will tweet it out or something. I use Twitter like crazy. I will tweet it out, and hopefully you see it.
Thank you, Emily. Let's see here. Let me see if there's any other hands up right now. No, it's okay. I've got quite a few questions here. Do you find that there are any skills that you have learned through gaming that have enabled you or that have benefited you in Paralympic swimming training? I realize the two are, there's a seeming gap between the two, but not perhaps as big as some may think.
Okay, so let's see, like off the top of my head, is there anything that's helped me Paralympics? I would say a lot of timing video games where you have to like be on beat with something. A lot of stuff like that translates really well into swimming. We have these things called TikToks where we wrap them around our waist and they like tick and tock every time you shift your hips when you rotate, and stuff like that. Like just there's a game called Sequence Storm, which is like a rhythm-based game, which has been made accessible for the blind, and it's a rhythm-based game. And yeah, stuff like that translates really well throughout what I do.
Great, thank you. I have a question from Carmen. When you're speaking about businesses that don't think about accessibility or perhaps disregard it, what recommendations do you have, if any, for bringing that to someone's attention?
You just gotta email and tweet and email and tweet and email and tweet, because if it's a tiny business, then you'll have a lot of luck. But if it's something like Walmart or stuff like that, the unfortunate thing is that the National Federation of the Blind and the American Council of the Blind sue them over and over again. There are so many organizations, mainstream, very popular organizations that have gotten sued over and over again for being inaccessible. But all we can do is just keep reaching out and spreading awareness. And what was I going to say? Essentially, like, yeah, we have to keep suing them, and that's not spreading awareness, essentially. So.
No, thank you. And that is the one thing that I have learned in this line of work and with my own disabilities, which are not sensory or drastically different, is that it is constant self-advocacy, and absolutely can be exhausting at times.
Exhausting.
Yes.
Exhausting.
Yes.
Yes.
I have a great question here from Kelsey, and this is something I have wondered myself. Actually, I was gonna follow up to you just outside of this, out of curiosity, because some stuff and folks in the industry I've talked to. Have you used any virtual reality headsets before, and how have you found that experience with the headset?
I have a video where I give my girlfriend a Oculus Quest last Christmas, and she has one hand, but she's not huge into the accessibility movement. Like she supports it and everything, but I threw on some headphones, and like, yeah, the audio is very useful. There are avenues being paved for accessibility in VR. In fact, I have worked with someone from Shell Games. I don't know much about VR, so I'm not sure how big they are in the VR community, but Shell Games, and I'm pretty good friends with him now, and he's a developer, and he wanted to know how to make things more accessible. And so VR accessibility is definitely on the horizon. Like 5 years ago, video game accessibility wasn't even on the horizon. So it's a snowball, really. That's what it is.
Next question. Thank you very much. We have a lot of folks in the audience that are preparing to become teachers. Do you have a single piece of advice that you think would be the most important thing for them to walk away with here as they prepare to enter the field?
Yes. I feel like, I'm not a teacher, but I feel like when you're learning to be a teacher, you know that every kid has different needs. And this extends to disabilities. It doesn't stop there. Each kid with disabilities has different needs. And it's okay for you to not, if you have a blind person come in, for you to not know Braille. It's not on you to know Braille, but it is on you to make sure that kid is getting all the education you needed or that they need. Like, I've had teachers where I've had to threaten to get them fired for not serving me. And then I have had other teachers who are amazing, and I have had no issues with them at all. So the biggest difference is just having empathy and knowing everyone is different and just being there for your kids. Like, I don't know, I don't want to rant, but I don't know what possesses some teachers to just be like, oh, just listen. Like, oh, you don't know what's on the board? Just listen. I don't know, but I would say, yeah, just ask, have an open line of communication. I mean, that's really what it is. Communication, like corporations aren't communicating with us about making their things accessible.
Thanks, Ross. And that question was from Michelle. Thank you. Got a question here from Broca. Do you shop online generally using screen readers? And what has your experience? I'm going to tack onto that. What has your experience been like with the average shopping website?
Yeah. So shopping online, a lot of times I have to ask Sam, hey, what does this look like? Hey, what does this look like? Because some things that I shop for, like I have to feel. That's my way of seeing. Like when I got this Apple Watch, like I desperately wanted to like pre-order it and have it delivered to me, but it's like it's a $500 watch. Like I have to go feel it and like see what it's like before I buy it. And so a lot of times, yeah, like sometimes I just can't use Amazon. And like, that's a whole other accessibility thing right there. It's like, imagine if Amazon had like descriptions for the blind. That would be incredible. Like alt text, except for, shopping. So yeah. But a lot of other things shopping wise, like I don't have trouble with. It just depends on the nature of whatever I'm buying.
Thank you. That is something I've heard a lot of folks indicate, even from other accessibility issues that the assistive technology may not be as complex. I think a lot of people hear screen reader and people that can't use mouse assume that that's somebody with vision impairment. There's people with motor skills issues out there as well. And basic keyboard navigation on Amazon is bad.
It's so bad. It is so bad.
But
it's bad.
Yes. Have a great question here from Elise. Do you think you will ever develop your own video game? Is that a goal that you have? And or do you foresee yourself helping others to make their games accessible?
Yes, like that. If I can have my dream job, that would be what it is. And right now, I'm going to Regis for software engineering, because I figured if no one is gonna step up, I'm gonna be the change. I wish I could be a software engineer with lawyers. Like, either you make this accessible, I'm going to tell you how, or I'm going to sue you. You're going to make it accessible some way or another. But yeah, that's something I do want to do.
Great. And that is kudos to you. I have seen most of the development interfaces, and they are certainly not by default accessible, which is a whole other challenge that I don't think is perhaps folks that have listened here today are picking up on that now, that things are just not made for all. Got another question here from Carmen. Do you enjoy games that have dialogue in them? Do you have a preference on type of game and whether the dialogue in them helps?
So as it currently is right now in my life, I'm almost like a beggar in that I can't be a chooser, because there are so few games that are accessible for me. That being said, like, if I had to pick, I actually not a huge fan of dialogue. I don't know, maybe it's because I have ADHD and I just want to play. But like, even playing Pokemon, I skip past all the dialogue. Obviously, like, I couldn't read it, but it didn't take away from my experience. Or like Hades, there's a lot of dialogue in there. I kind of skipped some of it, or like The Last of Us 2, where like that's a primarily story-driven game. I'm just like, let me get to the combat, like that, because I feel like that's the most impressive part about accessibility. So I guess that's why I enjoyed those kinds of games more.
Great, thank you. I think we have time for one last question here, and this comes from Dr. Heidi Feng, and that question is, what tools do you use for accessing charts and other visual illustration?
Yeah, so it depends entirely on the class, like if it's statistics versus algebra. But like I have, where is it? I think I have it in here. A graphing calculator. I can't find it right now, but somewhere on my desk, I have a graphing calculator that speaks to me. And like, even when it's like reading a line on a graph, it does it through audio and vibration. So this is like, woo, like that. And it's really cool. I love it. But then other things like Excel, in case anyone didn't know this, Microsoft does a lot for accessibility. Pretty much all of their things are accessible at this point, similar to Apple. Kind of Apple had that reputation in the past, but now it's Microsoft. So like Excel, I don't really have many issues with. Word, PowerPoint, I can do all that. But math is very tactile. So there are times where I got to bust out a Braille writer or bust out a Braille graph to like picture it in my mind, because cognitive load of just doing it all in your mind is ridiculous. So
thank you. It is 3:59. We are about out of time, and I said that was the last one, but I'm going to ask one more that came from our registration from Florentia. Do you find that one of the major consoles is more accessible in general than the others amongst Switch, Xbox, PlayStation?
All right. I rant about this all the time on Twitter. Like, if you want all of this, go to Twitter, because console wars among able-bodied people, and then there's console wars among disabled people. Because right now, the Xbox has a text-to-speech software on it. I can use all the Xbox menus, read them all, message people, join parties. I can't do any of that on a PS4. However, The Last of Us 2, was a PS4 exclusive.
Right.
So guess who went out and bought a PS4 for one game? Me.
Been there, done that.
So
In the past.
I prefer Microsoft by far, but it definitely seems like there are more developers on Sony who are embracing accessibility. So only time will tell, honestly, with the Xbox, the new PS4. As far as Nintendo, they're almost a lost cause. Like the harsh reality of it is that business culture in Japan is much different than here. They are so, like, we think we're far behind on disabilities, like it's even more taboo over there. So like that's not even, I'm not even going to touch that with a 10-foot pole until Microsoft and Sony get their act together, you know? Then maybe Nintendo may follow along.
Great, thank you. I am actually probably going to follow up with you on that because there's some interesting things culturally that I'm like, hold on, how is it that you guys invented the raised blocks on the road?
Yeah,
And everything else.
exactly.
So at any rate, it is 4:00, and with that, thank you so much, Ross. We really appreciate your time. Everyone, we did record this. I'm not certain how long will be till it's available. We may need to take some portions out or anything here and there, but if you were one of the couple of people that spoke, please let me know if you have a concern about your voice being in the recording. But otherwise, we kept this largely cameras and mics off for partially for that reason. Thank you all again for your time. We as in my team in OTS and the Campus Accessibility SIG are hoping to promote further events like this. We may be hearing from Ross again. In fact, in the future, we'll see. So thank you all. And if you have any questions about accessibility at TU, please feel free to reach out to ADS if it's something in your courses. Otherwise, we've got several resources from OTS Accessibility for faculty and staff, our ADA coordinator, Lauren Evans, if you've got any kind of other issues on campus, is available as well. And with that, have a wonderful rest of your afternoon, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.